Now, US President Donald Trump says Iran is playing with fire. That's after the UN's nuclear watchdog confirmed that Tehran is stockpiling more enriched uranium than allowed by the 2015 nuclear deal. Washington warned that it will never allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons and that it will continue its maximum pressure campaign until Tehran changes course. Here's what Trump told reporters at the White House.
No message to Iran. They know what they're doing. They know what they're playing with. And I think they're playing with fire. So no message to Iran whatsoever.
Well, earlier, Iran's foreign minister said Tehran does have the right to exceed the limit because the 2015 nuclear deal has not been upheld.
As I've been informed, Iran has exceeded the 300-kilogram limit of enriched uranium. We had previously announced this and we were transparent in saying what we are going to do. We consider it our right reserved in a nuclear deal.
The world is a scary place. Lots of different views and opinions out there. But don't worry, Silicon Valley is going to keep our minds safe from being contaminated by bad ideas. They know what's best for you and me. Facebook has come out with its first major announcement of 2019. And as part of its ongoing civil rights audit, it's going to have a team of hate speech reviewers.
Civil rights groups have been concerned about us mistakenly taking down content meant to draw attention to and fight discrimination rather than promote it. We're taking steps to address this, including a US pilot program where some of the people who review content on Facebook only focus on hate speech instead of a range of content that can include bullying, nudity and misrepresentation.
And it's not just those hateful, nasty comments they're going to protect us from. In addition, as we have the 2020 U.S. presidential election and the upcoming federal U.S. Census approaching, they will protect us from inappropriate comments about them.
Donald Trump says that he wants to withdraw more US troops from Afghanistan, leaving only enough to deliver what he dubbed strong intelligence. Well, he added that he'd like to withdraw completely, but the country needs watching. There are currently around 9,000 US troops in Afghanistan. Over the last 18 years there, the US has lost thousands of personnel and nearly $1 trillion. Earlier, my colleague Nikki Aaron spoke to the author and veteran of the conflict, Roger Hill, who argues the rules of engagement should be changed.
The rules of engagements are outdated, and when I say rules of engagement, I mean the law of war, the law of armed conflict, don't necessarily account for an enemy force that doesn't reciprocate them. The Geneva Conventions concerning how we fight and how we conduct ourselves in warfare are written under the idea that the enemy will reciprocate how we fight and how we conduct ourselves in combat.
A loud, sometimes raucous scene today as a congressional delegation visited migrant children detained in a now notorious facility in Clint, Texas. Over the shouts of the president's Democratic members of Congress detailed what detainees say they endured daily.
When we went into the cell, it was clear that the water was not running. There was a toilet, but there was no running water for people to drink. In fact, one of the women said that she was told by an agent to drink water out of the toilet.
New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was part of the delegation. After visiting another facility earlier in the day, she tweeted this. Quote, "It's not just the kids, it's everyone. People drinking out of toilets, officers laughing in front of members of Congress. I brought it up to their superiors. They said officers are under stress and act out sometimes. No accountability," unquote.
Now, while efforts are being made to resume talks with the North, South Korea is also working hard to enforce UN sanctions on the regime. Seoul has been holding 6 vessels captive in its ports for breaking those sanctions, although 2 of them have now been released. Our foreign affairs correspondent Lee Ji-won tells us more.
UN Security Council Sanctions Committee on North Korea decided Monday to release 2 of the vessels being held in South Korean ports for illegally conducting ship-to-ship transfers of petroleum products bound for North Korea.
Our ministry submitted a proposal to the committee regarding what to do with the 2 vessels along with the results of their investigation. With the Council's approval, the 2 vessels can now set sail.
There are 6 vessels held in South Korea for ship-to-ship trading with the North, which violates UN Security Council resolutions.
British police are investigating the death of a man believed to have been a stowaway on board a plane flying into Heathrow Airport. They think he fell from the landing gear. Chris O'Neill-Yates is in London covering this most bizarre story. What happened, Chris?
Well, police believe that the man fell from a Kenya Airways plane, dropped from the undercarriage while approaching Heathrow Airport on a 9-hour flight from Nairobi. The so-called stowaway reportedly fell from the landing gear and was found dead later in a South London garden after landing apparently about a meter from a man who was sunbathing in his backyard, according to a neighbor. Apparently, a plane spotter had been following the flight on an app and saw the body fall.
You've heard the warnings about mind the gap on train platforms. Well, what we're about to show you couldn't be a more urgent reminder of why you must, especially with children. There's been a jump in the number of young people injured on the train network, a major concern around school holidays.
A normal day at Sydenham Station as a train pulls in. What happens next? Frightening in the extreme. A child slips through the gap between the platform and the train. Other passengers rush to help, closely followed by station staff. It ends well this time.
One split-second lapse in concentration could see the loss of life of a child, and we don't want to see that.
In the past year, 200 children were injured on the rail network, and of that, 34%, almost 70 children, because they fell between the platform and the train. The advice for parents: do this.
It's coming. Darkness in the middle of the afternoon. Here in La Higuera, Chile, dozens of schoolchildren, tourists and astronomers have gathered and are camping out to observe at 16:38 local time the first total solar eclipse in the area since 1839. For some of the students who've traveled hundreds of kilometers to get here, it's a chance to learn by observing. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. This one will sweep along an 11,000-kilometer path from the open waters of the South Pacific to above northern Chile and Argentina. Thousands of protective lenses and glasses have been distributed. And telescopes at the ready, astronomers from around the world have also traveled to the region to study the eclipse.